if you're struggling with purpose, you have to take it back to the drawing board of creating a person that you truly admire and then planned to give that away to the world. And for everyone that looks a little bit different, for some of you, it's you've decided to pivot out of your career and step into your role at home. And you want to be fully committed to parenting your children and growing your family, and you know the impact on your community that will have. And so this is not just black and white. For many of you, it will be on how much influence and impact you have on corporate America and teams and people and development of people around you, right? But you sort of have to fearlessly give yourself permission to explore these different areas of your life. The more you build this person and add to this person that you know you can be, what begins to happen is areas of opportunity begin to open up because you're not ignoring everything in your life, right? You talk to people who have quote unquote made it and they're wealthy and whatever, and you're going to hear them talk about it's not about money, right? It's about having the network and the relationships and the body that you want and the impact that you want. You can't ignore any facet of this in order to begin to tap into your purpose. Mindset is what's going to get you in trouble here with having racing thoughts of my niche isn't hiring and I'm too old and I'm too young and whatever. Or maybe you've let yourself down on discovering some of your purpose. And so you're already in this ugly place to begin with. So if you're going through a career transition, back to the episode title, navigating transitions, just like any transition in life, it's how you think about it that's going to either open opportunities or your opportunities will appear to be capped. This is how we start to discover our self-limiting beliefs. So if your thought is I'm going through a job transition or I'm unemployed or I got let go. I work with our clients every week on this. You would think working, right? I'm just going to say it, with directors, VPs, and executives, you would think in your mind when someone is so achieved on paper that they're not struggling with these thoughts. This doesn't even make any sense, right? But it's just how we work as humans. We're like indoctrinated to believe these things. These limiting thoughts, because we have to blame something other than ourselves. So every week we're looking at our thoughts. When you think about being in a job search, what is your thought? Well, I'm unworthy. I failed. I'm not good enough. I gave up. And if you're not brave enough to look at those, how do we get excited about the career transition? And maybe you can't jump to excitement yet, but you can at least get yourself to a place of neutrality of like, okay, I can be excited that I'm coming up on a transition. I can get excited and open to the possibility that my niche is like full of opportunity just waiting for me. And that I'm blessed to be in a niche and understand how I can impact this niche. Watch your thoughts here as we go through some of the ways to navigate this, because that is going to be what stops you from being able to implement anything that we're talking about, is your belief about the transition itself.
Yeah. And everyone thinks they're the only person. They're the only person feeling this way. Say like you know that you have to make a transition for whatever reason, right? A lot of people think like it's just happened to them, or why do I think this way about myself sometimes? Let me be the first person to tell you, I don't know if you ever scour the internet over highly successful people and follow any of them, but I will tell you, a lot of them have days where they are not feeling well. So the first step I have for you is you get what you put your attention on, which is what Christina's kind of talking about, right? What are you putting your attention on? Are we putting it on all the bad stuff, all the reasons it's not going to happen? What do you think we're going to get thinking about that every single day? Probably more of the same, right? So remember, you get what you put your attention on. If you think it's never going to be possible, no one's going to help you, etc., you're absolutely right. With that attitude, who would want to hire you at a senior level for any role? Probably nobody.
So Tim just said, hey, you're not alone in thinking this way. For some people, it's very healthy to take that thought and plug that in. So when your brain goes, my niche isn't hiring, I'm so scared, I'm unworthy, I failed, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. Plug in, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And that alone will change your frequency. It will change the way you see the world, because the world is as you see it. Okay? So if your world and your brain is telling you one thing, understand that is going to be your full-on experience in the job search. So nothing is more important than changing this. Hey, I'm not alone. Hey, I'm not alone. Every morning, I am not alone in this. I am committed to getting curious about how I think about this transition. I am committed to thinking bigger. I am committed to discovering my purpose, like we talked about, I'm committed. Just a decision on this before you dive into it. We're going to go into some things. We're diving in now, but understand you cannot dive into it with this much limiting information in your mind, or you will get nowhere.